This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
And I'm Juan Gonzalez. Welcome to all of our listeners and viewers around the country and around the world. New York City continues to mourn two police officers killed in broad daylight Saturday when a gunman ambushed them. Officers Wenjian Liu and Rafael Ramos were sitting in their patrol car in Brooklyn when 28-year-old Ismael Brinsley approached the car and shot them dead. Brinsley then fled the scene, eventually turning the gun on himself as police closed in. Earlier in the day, Brinsley shot his former girlfriend in Maryland. She survived and called police. He later used her Instagram account to make anti-police statements, suggesting he would kill officers to avenge the deaths of Eric Garner and Michael Brown. He wrote online, quote, "I'm putting wings on pigs today. They take one of ours, let's take two of theirs." Criminal records show Brinsley had a troubled history. He was arrested 15 times in Georgia, 4 times in Ohio, and served 2 years in prison on charges that included robbery, shoplifting, carrying a concealed weapon, disorderly conduct, and obstruction of a law enforcement officer.
On Sunday, Mass was held at St. Patrick's Cathedral here in New York. Mourners gathered at a makeshift memorial to remember the life and service of the officers. At a news conference, Officer Rafael Ramos's aunt, Lucy Ramos, thanked the community.
I would like to thank all those who have shared their sympathy and support for our beloved family member, Rafael Ramos, who will always be loved and missed by many. I hope and pray that we can reflect on this tragic loss of lives that have occurred so that we can move forward and find an amicable path to a peaceful coexistence. We would like to extend our condolences to the Liu family also.
President Obama issued a statement that said, quote, "I unconditionally condemn today's murder of 2 police officers in New York City. 2 brave men won't be going home to their loved ones tonight, and for that, there is no justification." New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio spoke soon after the killings.
Although we are still learning the details, it's clear that this was an assassination. That these officers were shot execution style, a particularly despicable act which goes at the very heart of our society and our democracy. When a police officer is murdered, it tears at the foundation of our society. It is an attack on all of us. It's an attack on everything we hold dear. We depend on our police to protect us against forces of criminality and evil. They are a foundation of our society, and when they are attacked, it is an attack on the very concept of decency. Therefore, every New Yorker should feel they too were attacked. Our entire city was attacked by this heinous individual.
The police union has criticized New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, accusing him of unfairly siding with protesters who've taken to the streets over the police killings of Mike Brown and Eric Garner. Some police officers turned their backs on Mayor de Blasio Saturday evening when he walked through the hospital where the slain officers had been taken. The president of the police union, Patrick Lynch, said the mayor's office should be held accountable.
There's blood on many hands tonight. Those that incited violence on the street under the guise of protest, that tried to tear down what New York City police officers did every day. We tried to warn, it must not go on, it cannot be tolerated. That blood on the hands starts on the steps of City Hall in the office of the mayor.
That's Pat Lynch, the president of the largest police union in New York City, the Patrolmen's Benevolent Association. Well, for more, we're joined by 2 guests here in New York. Graham Weatherspoon is back with us, a retired detective with the New York City Police Department, also a board member of the Amadou Diallo Foundation. And Stephen Thrasher joins us. He's a weekly columnist for The Guardian U.S. His most recent piece headlined, "2 NYPD cops get killed and wartime police blame the protesters. Have we they learned nothing. Graham Weatherspoon and Stephen Thrasher, it's great to have you both with us. Let's start with Graham Weatherspoon. Your response to what happened and the response of the Patrolmen's Benevolent Association to what happened.
Well, I've had flashbacks. I came into policing during a very violent period in New York City in the mid-'70s when crime was off the hook and guns were found everywhere. And police officers at that time were being killed at the rate of no less than one a month in New York City. I was on a funeral detail with the transit police. I attended funerals routinely, and we rehearsed at the Brooklyn Casket Company doing the procedures. My partner was shot in the face in 1978. He was off duty, going out to dinner with his mother, and he saw something that didn't look right, and he went to check it out, and it was a robbery of an elderly woman, and he was shot point blank in the face. Kenny survived, thank God. The call came over the radio that a member had been shot, and the transit police had poor radio communication, and I called the command. We were working in the village, and when I called, a fellow Ralph says, "Spoon, it was Kenny." And I collapsed at the West 4th Street station. I can only imagine what the families are going through. We know that there's always a chance, and you know, death stalks all of us in so many different ways. But to have an incident such as this, even with the timing of the incident, it's beyond tragic. It's horrific. Not since the Byrne execution, or attempted execution of Byrne, have we seen something this evil. Pat Lynch is throwing gasoline on the flames. I think that he should take time to consider what he's saying. I understand he's a union leader. His job is to promote the welfare and the benefits for his members, but this doesn't fall at the feet of City Hall. This is a societal issue. This man had an extensive criminal history, and he's not a New Yorker. He was not part of anything going on in New York. We know he shot his girlfriend. He drove to New York. He was suicidal. He took an attempt on his life a year ago. So there are mental problems, and we have a very violent society, unfortunately. So here it is that things have escalated in that man's life to the point, well, I'm going to kill some cops, but I really want to die. And we generally call it suicide by cop. You know, when you see people come out and do crazy things just so that they can be shot by the police, they really want to die. But in this case, and I've seen it before, cases I've worked on where we had a guy barricaded and he took his own life after killing 2 people on Nostrand Avenue. So there's a lot, but I wish that Patrick Lynch would consider drawing back from the politics. He doesn't make the call as to whether or not the mayor or the police commissioner will be present at the funeral of a deceased member. That is a call that's made by the family.
What are you referring to?
He had said a while back, and quite prophetically, he said, if a police officer is shot, they will not be welcome at the funeral. Well, that was a reprehensible statement. And Pat is going to have to, I think Commissioner Bratton is going to have to sit down with him and rein him in. Pat Lynch is a member of the New York City Police Department, and to bring adverse criticism against the department is grounds for dismissal. So he will only be a union president as long as he is a member of the police department. He is still a police officer. And I'm sure that Mayor de Blasio is going to sit down with Commissioner Bratton, and the 3 of them are going to have to come to terms, and I think that Pat should bring it down, because no one in New York, nobody, my pastor spoke about the officers yesterday in church, and Brother Ramos, he had just completed his chaplaincy training. He goes to a church that's a sister church to my church. He was due to get his certification this week. These are not bad guys. They weren't bad guys. They weren't part of the problem. They were part of the solution.
Well, Graham, on that note, there's been an attempt, obviously, by some, especially the PBH, sort of link what happened with Brinsley to the overall protests, as if the protesters were protesting against police in general, rather than specific practices. Your reaction to this attempt?
No, you know, my mother used to call me when something happened. She'd call me up. Oh, I said, Mom, I didn't do it. You know, give me a chance. I didn't do it. You know, we can't broad brush anybody. Blacks have been broad brushed in this society. Latinos have been broad brushed. All groups have been broad brushed. And there are some outstanding police officers out there. And some of them I know personally. You know, and they're not happy about what has transpired with the situation in Staten Island and in other cities, because it casts a dim light on police officers. So the death of Eric Garner, we're waiting for the grand jury, all these things. I don't think that the general public in New York City is looking to go into a violence mode. Protest is the right. It's the constitutional right of the people. And we have to remember that. It's not a matter of being policed to the point where you are now under a lockdown by the department, whether it's New York City or any other city. People have the right to protest and make their voice heard to the political entities who are required to set policy and procedures.
We're going to break, then come back to this discussion. Graham Weatherspoon is a retired detective with the New York City Police Department, also board member of the Amadou Diallo Foundation. Amadou Diallo, of course, was the young man who died in a hail of police bullets, 41 to be exact, on February 4th, 1999. His mother, Kadiadou Diallo, has formed this foundation. This is Democracy Now! We'll be back in a minute.